But let me get into some of my favorite films, and I'll tell you why as well, really important. One of my favorites is a movie called El Mariachi. And this was directed by a guy named Robert Rodriguez. And Robert went on to film a lot of really big Hollywood movies. From Dusk Till Dawn, he remade this movie later and did sequels after it as well. He's really big into action, and he became a really big Hollywood director. But he started off with this movie, and there's a great book called Rebel Without a Crew that's all about him making this movie. And Robert was making movies when he was a kid. He had a big family. He was always shooting on Super 8, shooting like silly, stupid movies. He always had his brothers and sisters that were cast members. And when he went to make this film, he figured he'd need about, I think it was $5,000, but he didn't have the money. So he did a health study, which meant he had to go into like a hospital for 30 days, and they would give him food to eat, and they would like draw his blood. And while he was there, he wrote the script, and he got the money to make the movie. And that's why I love this movie, because he made it happen. And that's why if you're ever in my academy, I'm always saying to you, make it happen. Don't give me excuses. You want to build a business? Let's do this. You want to build a podcast? Let's do this. You want to get on stage? Let's do this by any means necessary. And that's what I love about Robert. He just made it happen. So he got the money from a health study. And I remember Robert wrote it when he was in the hospital. And he always said something really interesting to me. He would lay back on his bed and watch the movie in his head from start to finish. It would take him an hour and 20 minutes, and he would watch every single scene in his mind. And I was like, wow, that's a gangster director, right? And that's when you know you're really that involved in your movie. And you can go through every shot, and you can tell yourself the story. And he would do that every night, play the movie in his head. And again, that showed me how good you have to be as a director. And so El Mariachi was great. He went down into this little tiny city in Mexico. He had borrowed like someone's, I think it was a 16 millimeter camera. He didn't use a tripod. That was great. He's like, tripod? He's like, yeah, great. Throw the tripod away is what he said, because there's so much movement and so much action. He also says what Hollywood does when they come up with a problem is they throw money at. The Mariachi just said, what do we have? And he said he used it. So he always says to people, well, if you're trying to make a movie, use what you have. If you have a liquor store, use the liquor store. If you have a car, use the car. In this movie, he had a turtle, and the turtle walked across the road, so he used the turtle. He had a guitar case, and he put like a gun in there. You know, like whatever he needed, he used. And that's why I love El Mariachi, because it's a budget movie. And at the end of the day, he thought nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody wanted distribution. And finally, somebody saw it and bought it for him. And then they saw it and said, we want to make a remake of it in Hollywood, and you're going to direct it. And he did it with Antonio Banderas, and it just blew up his whole career. But it started because he made it happen. No excuses. He made it happen. And that's why I love about him. And same with Dorian. Like when we made Dorian, you know, we had like, I think we spent $5,000 on it, or 5,000 pounds just to fly down there, and we made it. We never made a movie before. We didn't ask for anyone's permission. I didn't ask for financing. I didn't ask for producers. We just made the movie. Same with London Real. We just made the movie. Same with the business. We made the business. So I love people that just go out there and do it and don't wait for people to ask permission. Don't complain that no one's giving them permission. Stop asking permission. Pull the trigger. So that's why I like Mariachi.